lines were so thick you could barely see the sky. We'd driven 4 hours upstate to reach a stretch of public land that had no name on most maps. Just a green patch surrounded by Forest Service roads and vague topography lines. My wife Lena found it on an obscure hiking forum, buried under threads from years ago. Untouched, wild and empty, somebody had written. No one goes there anymore. That was the draw. We wanted real solitude. Our kids, Jonah and Lily, were 7 and 5. We wanted to show them something untouched by strip malls and neon signs. To give them what we had in pieces when we were young. Crickets instead of iPads. Tree bark instead of plastic. We parked the car in a narrow pull-off and hiked 2 miles in with our gear. The deeper we went, the quieter it became. No birdsong. No chatter of squirrels, just the shuffle of our boots, our breathing, the occasional creak of a heavy tree in the wind. By the time we made camp near a still, mossy pond, the light was already slanting sideways through the trees. The air smelled green and wet, like fungus and old leaves. The silence was impressive. Lena and I looked at each other and smiled. This was exactly what we'd hoped for. We didn't know yet that something had already noticed us. That first night, we cooked hot dogs over a portable stove and told the kids ghost stories. Simple ones. Little Red Riding Hood twists. Nothing too frightening. They giggled under the tense mesh ceiling, pointing out what few stars flickered through the canopy. Eventually, exhaustion took them like a switch had flipped. Lena was asleep within minutes, but I stayed awake. The silence had gone from peaceful to oppressive. No wind, no insects, just absence. It pressed in on the tent like pressure at the bottom of the ocean. Then, something snapped outside. A dry, sharp crack like a twig underfoot. I held still, not an animal. Too deliberate. I shifted quietly, just enough to slip my hand toward the small camping axe I kept near the flap. My fingers brushed the handle. I strained to listen. Another sound, barely audible. A breath. A dragging of something across the earth. Then nothing. Sleep never came. The next morning, I didn't mention the noises to Lena. She was already trying to make oatmeal for the kids over the tiny propane flame, her hands shaking slightly from the chill. I told myself it was probably a deer, maybe a coyote, something curious. We hiked a little way to a nearby ridge after breakfast, took photos, let the kids chase each other through a clearing. But all the while, I kept scanning the tree line, watching, listening. That's when I noticed it. Boot prints, partially obscured, but recent, not ours. I checked everyone's shoes that night. None of them matched. The third night is when things changed. Lily woke us up crying. She said someone was standing outside the tent. She said he didn't move, just stood there. I shot up and yanked open the flap, flashlight in hand. Its beam cut across the trees, blinding in the dark. Nothing. No movement. No sound. You had a nightmare, Lena said gently, pulling Lily close. But when I circled the tent, I found fresh impressions in the soil. Not deep, just enough to show the outline of toes. Bare feet. Human. Whatever it was, it hadn't worn shoes. I didn't sleep again. Just waited for dawn. By the 4th day, Lena was frightened. She'd noticed things too. A flash of movement behind a tree. Something watching from the ridge when we thought we were alone. She didn't want to scare the kids, but I could see the fear bleeding through her usual calm. Her eyes jumped every time a branch creaked. That's when I made the decision. We'd hike back to the car. We packed quickly. The kids didn't argue. They felt the tension even if they didn't understand it. We got moving, but the trail felt wrong, not like we remembered. Landmarks didn't match. Trees we'd used as markers were gone, or in different places. At first I thought I was just panicking, but then Lena whispered, "We've already passed this stump." She was right. It was like the forest was folding around us, or someone was guiding us in circles. I felt the eyes on us, constant, watching, waiting. We stopped to rest near a rock outcropping. The kids were exhausted, their feet blistered. Lena's face was pale, her lips colourless. I gave them water, kept my own nose buried. That's when I saw him, a shape just beyond the trees, not hiding, standing, tall, lean, naked from the waist up, skin grey with dirt and ash, face wrong, too long, too still, unblinking. When I blinked, he was gone. I didn't tell Lena. I just said we needed to keep moving. We kept walking until the light faded. My compass stopped working. The needle spun slowly, like it was trying to decide. That night, we didn't set up the tent. We just huddled together under a tarp and tried to stay warm. The kids fell asleep out of sheer exhaustion. Lena and I took turns watching, though we didn't speak. There was no need. The fear had stopped being theoretical. That's when the sound started. A low whistle, far off at first, then closer, then distant again, like someone moving in circles around us, always just out of sight. It went on for hours. Every time I moved toward it, it shifted away, just out of reach, like it was playing, like it wanted me to follow, but I didn't. At dawn, the forest looked different. Wrong angles, wrong light. The trees leaned ever so slightly inward, like they were all bending to watch us. We didn't talk much, just walked in a straight line, ignoring the trail, heading toward the rising sun. I told Lena we'd hit a logging road eventually, but we didn't. Instead, we came to a small clearing, a perfect circle, flattened grass, scorched in places, like something heavy had been there. In the center stood a crude wooden figure, 7 feet tall, arms made of branches, head a lump of bark with nail-like teeth jammed into its surface. Lily ran, screaming. Jonah froze. I crushed the thing with the axe. It took far too many hits to break. We left fast. By the 6th day, I couldn't tell what was real. I swear I saw my own father standing in the trees. He died 5 years ago, just watching me, bleeding from the eyes. Jonah said he saw a white dog with a human face. It asked him to come closer. Lena began whispering to someone when she thought I wasn't listening, pleading, saying she didn't know we weren't supposed to be here. I found scratches on my arms I didn't remember getting. And that night, when I looked up at the stars, they were wrong, too close together, patterns I didn't recognize. I stopped looking up. On the 7th morning, I woke up alone. The kids were gone. Lena too. The forest was silent again. I screamed for them until my voice broke. No answer, just my own footsteps weaving in panic. Then from behind me, that same whistle, closer than it had ever been. I ran toward it. I don't know how long I was lost. Time thinned out. Days bled together. Sometimes I'd find bits of clothing, Jonah's shoe, Lily's stuffed bear, Lena's scarf tied around a tree like a marker. But they led nowhere. Nothing did. I stopped eating. My body kept moving out of reflex. The forest never ended. The man, the figure, I'd see him more often, sometimes calling my name, sometimes standing over me when I woke up, never moving, just there, judging, waiting. I was found by a search and rescue team almost 2 weeks later. I stumbled out onto a road, barefoot, gaunt, incoherent. They never found Lena or the kids. No trace, No footprints. Nothing. I told them what happened. They didn't believe me. Forests don't change. People don't disappear without a trace. They said I must have gotten confused, starved, hallucinated. But I know something hunted us. Not a bear, not a man. Something older. Something that waits for people to wander too far where they don't belong. Sometimes, at night, I still hear the whistle. Faint. From beyond the trees. I don't sleep much anymore